Alright, welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. What I have for you guys today is I had a viewer email me and he wanted me to do a video on the village of Portlock, Alaska and what happened to that village back in the day. Now there is a show out called Alaskan Killer Bigfoot and they are also at that location, so I'm going to go ahead and make this video, show you guys the location with Google Earth, all that other good stuff, so let's get to it. Alaska, the largest state in the United States, is many things to many people. In places an almost pristine wilderness, it is filled with natural resources and untamed lands. But with the isolation and the vast areas free from human habitation comes its fair share of spooky stories and unexplained happenings. One of them is from Portlock Village in Port Chatham Bay, only 124 miles south of the state's most populous city, Anchorage. Nobody lives in Portlock now. In the 1940s, the village was abandoned after the occupants were attacked and in some cases brutally killed by something which came from the woods. The stories of what attacked the small salmon canning settlement mostly revolve around a large and hairy beast that haunted the dark spaces beyond the tree line at the edge of the village. Whatever it was extremely aggressive and deadly to anyone caught out on their own. What was this creature? That is still to be definitively proven. However, the locals had a name for it, the Portlock Sasquatch. Sasquatch, more commonly referred to as Bigfoot in the United States, is perhaps the most famous cryptid in history. Stories of the giant bipedal man-ape wandering the vast forested territories of the Americas have been around for centuries. However, these stories generally paint a very different picture to what happened at Portlock. Bigfoot is almost always reclusive and shy, avoiding human contact at all cost. Although the sheer size of this beast draws stories of aggression and danger, it is mostly known through the traces it leaves behind, hair snagged on foliage, and of course its big footprints. Which is not to say that North America does not have dangerous animals which exist beyond a doubt. Bears, wolves, and big cats roam the continent, and the people who settled at Portlock to make a life for themselves would have been tough indeed. The village, established by Royal British Navy Captain Nathaniel Portlock in 1787, was in an unexplored and wild part of the country. It was a true frontier of America, and only the hardiest would survive. At first the settlement thrived. Salmon was plentiful in the bay, and a cannery operation was established, attracting seasonal workers and bringing in money. Earlier records made by Portlock Cannery Management showed that the site had been vacated once before. The cannery supervisor noted that in 1905 that all the native workers evacuated the area because of something in the forest, but they returned to work at the cannery the following year. In addition, various groups of gold miners and hunters used to head to the mountains for their work. Some of them never came back, but accidents were not uncommon and nothing was proven until 1931. In that year, a local woodchopper alone in the forest was found murdered. The man had been killed by a single ferocious blow, far more devastating than could have been inflicted by a single human being. This incident was scary enough to traumatize the entire village. What was out there? The murdered man was only the first sign of an unknown threat in the woods surrounding the village. The local natives started talking about a creature, a hairy Bigfoot-type Yeti monster, and it was called the Nantinak, or Big Hairy Creature as it was called. Other accounts include specifics of the beast's features. Hunters following signs of a moose came across man-like footprints that exceeded 18 inches in length. As they closed on the moose, they realized that they and their owner of the big feet were tracking the same animal. The hunters soon came across matted down grass that held indication of an apparent life and death struggle. Beyond the grass, the hunters found no moose tracks, but the large man-like footprints continued upward into the cloud-draped mountains. Soon other footprints were reported around the village, and worse, a resident of the village happened to see a huge and hairy man destroying the fish wheels used to process salmon that he described as looking like a devil. The fish wheels were near the beach, away from the witness's shack. The resident rushed to get his gun, and when he returned, he saw the beast staring at him. Then the beast suddenly walked away without harming the resident. The sightings became common, and uneasiness began to prevail in the village. These were not people who were easily scared by wildlife, and furthermore, they would be well aware of the local predators in the area. This could not have been a bear, or else they would have identified it as such. This was something else. And then, bodies started appearing around the village. Many were washed into the bay from the rivers that fed it, suggesting the people, trappers, and miners had been surprised and killed in the hills and forests above Portlock. As the population started recovering bodies, speculation regarding the deadly beast started to rise. Fear took root in the population at the loss of so many lives, and people started to leave the village. The cannery plant posted armed guards to attempt to keep the cannery open, but it was of no use. The last residents fled in 1950, and the village lay abandoned. Whatever lived in the woods above Portlock, and whatever had killed all of the people, it had won. In 1973, an Anchorage newspaper ran a piece on a retired school teacher who had taught in Port Chatham during World War II. She told of cannery workers who went into the mountains to hunt Dall sheep and bear but never returned. Search parties found no trace of them. The rumor spread that a mutilated body, torn and dismembered in a fashion that didn't resemble wounds from a bear attack, had been swept by rains down the mountain and into the lagoon. In the 1920s, a man by the name of Albert Petka supposedly scared off the hairy creature with his dogs, but not before receiving a fatal blow to the chest. According to the stories, Petka survived to explain what happened, but died to his wounds soon after. There are also reports of prospectors and hunters going missing frequently to the point that it became commonplace. Their bodies were allegedly found in a creek as if their limbs had been ripped apart. A goat hunter in 1968 claimed to have been chased by a creature while he was hunting in the area. In 1973, 3 hunters took shelter there during a 3-day storm and claimed that during each night something walked around their tent on what sounded like only 2 feet. In 1990, an Anchorage paramedic was called out to aid a 70-year-old native who had suffered a heart attack, but was incarcerated in the Eagle River Jail north of the city. While treating the man, the paramedic happened to mention that he had hunted in the area of Port Chatham. The elderly man suddenly sat up, grabbed the medic by the shirt, and asked him, "Did it bother you? Did you see it?" Teddy Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, wrote stories that include an encounter with Bauman, a seasoned trapper in Idaho. Bauman told of an encounter with a huge hairy creature which attacked him. He barely escaped with his life, and he was convinced that it was a Bigfoot. Roosevelt also wrote an account of finding a trapper's body. The body was partially eaten by an unknown beast that left human foot tracks in its wake. But such stories, although consistent with the accounts from Portlock, only allow speculation as to what happened in the Alaskan settlement. They fit the facts, but required the existence of a sustainable population of these creatures, sharing a landmass with hundreds of millions of people without a single piece of concrete evidence as to their existence. For some, this is a step too far. But the events at Portlock are not easily explained. Something was killing the inhabitants and leaving their dismembered corpses to be found by the villagers, washed up on the banks of the bay, or out in plain sight, left where they had been killed. This does not match the behaviors of many known wild animals. Bears are certainly strong and large enough to do the damage seen by the villagers, and would be attracted by the salmon canning plant, but the footprints and eyewitness accounts dispute this. The people of Portlock know what a bear looks like, and this was no bear. Wolves would not attack healthy humans in daylight for almost any reason, and big cats would also slink away into the forest rather than dismember human beings. So what can be said for sure about the attacks? The creature, from the scant eyewitness accounts, was large and covered with hair. It left large tracks which matched a human's foot of great size. It was strong enough to kill and dismember a grown man, and it lived in the remote wilderness of the North American continent. Sounds like a Sasquatch to me. Alright, so there you go. What do you guys think about that one? The village of Portlock in Alaska. Now, this story's been around for a while, but I don't think anybody's really gone and shown the location with Google Earth, and I hope you guys really liked the video. If you guys have a video or an account you guys would like me to make, please feel free to send it to WILLSTARBigfoot@AOL.com. And if you guys want some cool merchandise, remember, I got some merchandise. You guys can check that out. And once again, keep an eye out for my new series about the Native American Sasquatch accounts and legends. I'm going to go around the country through the accounts and give you guys those regional areas and what they say about these creatures. It's pretty interesting. I've been doing a lot of research, so I can't wait to give that to you. Alright, that's where we're going to leave it. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new, think about subscribing. Hey, these videos, I make them a lot. Show you guys the locations, give you guys the information, and try to keep you entertained. Hope you liked it. So that's where we'll leave it. Always remember, where there is a Willstar, there is a way. Willstar out.